Carry On is a pure adrenaline shot of high-stakes fun, an action thriller that wears its influences on its sleeve. And if you're into the taut, confined drama of classics like Die Hard, Phone Booth, or Cellular, I don't know that Cellular is considered a classic, but for now we're putting it in here. This film slots right into that lineage, unapologetically paying homage to the genre's greatest hits. It carries on the traditions of other command and control thrillers or the remote puppet action drama where someone has to take orders from someone over the phone to prevent a tragedy. The film is set against the chaotic backdrop of a bustling airport on Christmas Eve. The film follows Ethan Kopech, played by Taron Egerton, a down-on-his-luck TSA agent whose mundane shift takes a sharp turn when a mysterious stranger, known only as the Traveler, played by Jason Bateman, coerces him into making a split-second decision that could endanger hundreds of lives. Tasked with allowing a suspicious bag to pass through security, Ethan becomes an unwilling pawn in a deadly game of cat and mouse, racing against time to uncover the Traveler's true motives while navigating his own personal demons and escalating chaos around him, and the weight of a future he's not yet ready to face. With tension mounting and the clock ticking, Carry On explores how ordinary people respond to extraordinary pressure and ask whether doing the wrong thing for the right reasons can ever truly be justified. At its best, Carry On delivers tension and absurdity in equal measure, balancing a breakneck pace with just enough plausibility to keep your disbelief suspended, albeit tenuously. The premise itself is thrilling enough to draw you in, but I found myself wishing the film didn't lean so heavily on hokey dialogue and characters making frustratingly dumb decisions. But that said, the strength of the cast and the sheer momentum of the story helps smooth over some of the rougher edges. The plot centers on Taron Egerton's Ethan, a TSA agent stuck in a cycle of monotony. Ethan is a bit adrift, haunted by a missed opportunity to fulfill his dream of becoming a police officer. His girlfriend Nora, who has just learned that she's pregnant, sees the cracks in his ambition and yearns for him to rediscover his sense of purpose. This emotional undercurrent gives the film a surprising amount of heart. The pregnant girlfriend trope isn't new, but it's handled with enough care to feel sincere rather than obligatory. Ethan's journey isn't just about outsmarting the villain, it's about facing the future that's rapidly closing in on him. And then enter Jason Bateman as the Traveler, a menacing antagonist who forces Ethan into a deadly game of moral compromise. With the task of allowing a suspicious bag to go through security under the threat of dire consequences, Ethan has to navigate an escalating series of impossible choices. And Bateman's portrayal of the Traveler is a masterclass in understated villainy. He's chillingly charming, delivering existential monologues that almost make you forget the havoc he's causing. It's the kind of performance that lingers, towing the line between theatrical and unsettlingly real. Taron Egerton matches Bateman's energy with a compelling portrayal of an everyman pushed to his breaking point, and I really love movies where an everyman is pushed to his breaking point. Ethan's desperation feels pretty palpable as he scrambles through the labyrinthian airport, balancing his growing fear with a determination that makes you root for him the entire way, flaws and all. And the airport itself becomes a character under the direction of the guy who made Non-Stop, The Shallows, and most recently, I think, Black Adam. Airports are inherently stressful places. I've been traveling a lot, and I know this to be true, and Colette Serra exploits that tension to great effect, crafting a backdrop that heightens the film's sense of urgency. Now, where Carry On falters is in its resilience on genre tropes, particularly in the subplot involving LAPD detective Elena Cole, played by Danielle Deadwyler. Despite Deadwyler's undeniable talent, her character feels trapped in a by-the-numbers procedural, delivering cliched dialogue and playing out tired beats that dilute the film's otherwise sharp focus. I'm pretty sure one of her first lines in the movie is, "What do you got for me, detective?" Similarly, Josh Brenner's tech-savvy, ho-ho-loving data analyst, complete with a yarmulke and quippy one-liners, feels shoehorned in for some comic relief, but his scenes are distracting more than enhancing. These moments pulled me out of the tightly wound tension of the airport storyline, making the film feel uneven in places. And ultimately, my mixed feelings about Carry On might say more about my own expectations than the film itself. It's caught between two poles, a throwback to over-the-top action spectacles of the 80s and an attempt to inject some modern existential weight into the genre. It's a movie that revels in its influences, and for the most part, that's where its charm lies. But for every genuinely thrilling moment, there's a groan-worthy cliche that makes me question why we keep returning to the same narrative wells. Maybe the answer is that those wells are still worth visiting. There's something undeniably satisfying about a film that doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, but instead invites you to enjoy the ride. Carry On succeeds not by breaking new ground, but by delivering a lean, efficient dose of action escapism with a surprising emotional core. But I want to pause here and think about this a little bit further. There's a strange comfort in returning to familiar narrative wells, even if we've been there 100 times before. Films like Carry On tap into the collective nostalgia of the 80s action era, the lone hero, the smarmy villain, the impossible odds, and these tropes persist not because they're groundbreaking, but because they work. They're the cinematic equivalent of a well-worn leather jacket. They may be scuffed and dated, but they still feel just right when you slip them on. Am I the only one who wears leather jackets? The cliches we groan about now were once innovative beats that defined a genre, and revisiting them today, whether out of homage or lack of imagination, can still spark a kind of joy. And there's value in embracing these tropes as part of an ongoing conversation with film history, a way to keep the genre alive, even as it spins its wheels. Now, that being said, when a film like Carry On teeters between homage and reinvention, it could feel like watching someone juggling nostalgia and progress, hoping not to drop either ball. And this balancing act invites us to reconsider how we approach these stories. Are we yearning for something fresh, or are we seeking the comfort of the familiar? And maybe the trick isn't to dismiss these movies for failing to innovate, but to appreciate the ambition in trying to thread that needle. And sure, the cliches can make us roll our eyes, but they're also part of why the genre endures. The magic lies in the attempt, however imperfect, to connect the past with the present. And if a movie like this can remind us why those old tropes worked while giving us even a glimmer of something new, isn't that worth something? All that is to say that by the time the credits roll, Carry On has done what it set out to do: entertain, engage, and remind us that life is little more than controlled chaos waiting to implode. Sometimes that's enough to call a film a success. But what did you guys think of Carry On? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified every time a new video is released on this channel. And I'll see you all next time.